Do you know why 90% of people never reach their goals? It's not about hard work. It's because they're trapped in this one toxic illusion. In this video, I'll expose the silent productivity killer keeping you stuck, and the exact system to break free before you waste another year running in circles. You know what's funny? We drown in the noise of everyone else's lives while our own slips through our fingers. We obsess over strangers' highlight reels, measuring our raw, unfiltered existence against their curated illusions. We chase validation, like it's oxygen, suffocating on the silence when it doesn't come. We give our energy to things we can't control, opinions, algorithms, the imaginary timelines we've failed to meet. But here's the brutal truth. Your life grows where your focus goes. If you feed it distractions, it becomes a garden of weeds, overgrown, with comparison, hesitation, the gnawing fear of not enough. But if you plant discipline there, if you water it with small, stubborn acts of self-trust, that's where the roots dig deep. Confidence isn't handed to you. It's built in the dark, brick by brick. Every time you choose yourself over the easy escape. Every time you show up, even when you're afraid, even when no one's watching. Success isn't a lottery. It's not luck. It's the quiet accumulation of days where you fought for 1% more courage, more focus, more refusal to stay where you were. The people who rise aren't waiting for permission. They're too busy building. But you're exhausted. You scroll instead of sleep. You dissect conversations that no one else remembers. You ration your worth in likes, in followers, in the approval of people who don't even know you. And all that energy, the kind that could move mountains, you pour it into things that leave you emptier than before. What if you stopped? What if, for 30 days, you turned away from the noise and faced yourself, really faced yourself? Not the idealized version, the raw, unfinished one, the one that's tired of pretending. What if you measured your progress only against who you were yesterday? Not some stranger's highlight reel, not the imaginary clock ticking in your chest. Here's the secret no one tells you. Leveling up is lonely. It means choosing discipline when the world sells distraction. It means trusting the process when there's no applause. It means admitting no one is coming to save you, not a mentor, not a partner, not some mythical right time. The life you want isn't out there. It's in here, in the choices you make when no one's looking, in the refusal to let your mind be colonized by other people's expectations. So shut the noise off. Build something only you can see, for now, and watch slowly as everything else begins to shift. You keep waiting for the world to quiet down, for the noise of opinions, the endless scroll, the weight of comparison to finally fade so you can begin. But here's the truth. No one tells you. It never does. The distractions don't disappear. The doubts don't magically dissolve. The only thing that changes is you, the moment you decide that your focus is not for sale. Think about it. How many hours have you lost to mentally rehearsing conversations that don't matter? How many nights have you spent dissecting someone else's success like it holds the secret to yours? Every minute you spend like this is a minute you steal from your own future. Burnout doesn't come from doing too much. It comes from caring too much about the wrong things, about strangers' approval, about imaginary timelines, about fears that haven't even happened yet. You drain yourself dry on thoughts that don't feed you, then wonder why you're starving. But what if you stopped? What if just for today, you took all that scattered energy, the kind you waste on overthinking, on comparing, on seeking permission, and poured it into one small act of defiance against your own stagnation? One page written, one boundary set, one step forward, no matter how shaky. Because here's the secret they won't tell you. Success isn't seized. It's collected. In the invisible moments, in the choices no one applauds, in the discipline of turning away from what drains you to tend to what builds you. The people who move forward aren't luckier or smarter. They're just more ruthless, not with others, but with their own attention. They guard it like a dying flame in the wind. They know every glance at someone else's life is a step away from their own. So ask yourself, what am I fueling? The fears that keep you small, or the quiet courage to grow? The illusion of control, or the acceptance that the only thing you can truly command is where you place your focus? You don't need more time. You don't need a sign. You just need to stop giving your power to what doesn't deserve it. The moment you do, you'll realize something terrifying and beautiful. You were never stuck. You were just distracted. And when the distractions fall away, all that's left is you, and the life you've been waiting to build. You keep waiting for the lightning strike of motivation, for the stars to align, for some cosmic permission slip to start living the life you want. But here's the uncomfortable truth. The magic isn't in the grand gesture. It's in the silent, stubborn repetition of showing up when no one's watching, especially when you don't feel like it. Every morning, you stand at a crossroads you don't even recognize. Snooze or rise, scroll or plan, excuse or effort. These choices seem insignificant, like dropping a single grain of sand onto a scale. But days pass, weeks, years, and suddenly the weight of all those unnoticed decisions crushes you. You wake up one day wondering how you got here, stuck, stagnant, watching others live the life you told yourself you'd have someday. Here's the brutal irony. Someday is a lie. Success isn't some distant explosion of effort, it's the slow burn of daily discipline. That gym session you skip because one day won't matter? It does. The book you don't read, the project you delay, the uncomfortable conversation you avoid. These aren't isolated choices. They're votes for the person you're becoming. We're addicted to visible progress. We want the before and after glow-ups, the overnight success stories. But real growth happens underground, in the dark, where no one applauds, like a seed. Breaking open beneath the soil, the work that matters is invisible until it's undeniable. And that's why most people quit. They water their dreams for a week, see no sprouts, and walk away, never knowing they were 3 days from breakthrough. They mistake the absence of evidence for evidence of absence. But the truth? Discipline is just choosing what you want most over what you want now. Motivation is a fair-weather friend. It leaves when things get hard. Discipline? That's the quiet voice that says, go anyway. Try again. One more page. One more rep. One more day. And here's the secret no one tells you. The grind gets lighter. What feels impossible today becomes automatic tomorrow. The first time you resist the snooze button, it's a war. The 100th time, it's just who you are. So stop waiting for a sign. Stop fetishizing the perfect start. The clock is ticking, not on some imaginary future opportunity, but on this day, this choice, this small act of defiance against mediocrity. Your future isn't built in a moment. It's built in the moments between moments, the ones no one will ever see. Start where you are. Use what you have. Do what you can, and trust the slow, invisible work of becoming. You've spent your whole life collecting permission slips, from parents, partners, strangers on the internet. You've folded yourself into smaller and smaller shapes just to fit inside the cramped expectations of others. You've swallowed your truth so many times you've forgotten its taste. Here's the quiet tragedy. You've been free this whole time. But freedom doesn't come from applause. It comes from the deafening silence when you stop waiting for it. When you realize no amount of external validation can fill the hollow spaces where self-trust should be. Think of all the versions of yourself you've abandoned at the altar of what will they think? The dreams you called impractical, the boundaries you didn't set, the passions you dismissed as silly. You've been living on borrowed values, wearing borrowed identities, chasing borrowed definitions of success, all while your soul whispers, "This isn't us." The paradox? No one's watching as closely as you fear. That coworker you're terrified of disappointing? They're too busy worrying about their own performance review. The Instagram followers you curate your life for? They'll scroll past in 0.3 seconds. The people-pleasing, the over-apologizing, the constant shape-shifting? It was never a safety net, just a cage you built yourself. Here's what they don't tell you about breaking free. It doesn't feel like empowerment at first. It feels like vertigo, like stepping off a treadmill that's been running your whole, day life. There will be backlash. From others, yes, but worse. From your own mind. That internalized critic that mistakes conformity for comfort. But then, slowly, something shifts. You start noticing the weightlessness of decisions made without committee, the strange power in a measured no, the quiet thrill of catching your reflection and recognizing the person staring back. The secret? Real confidence isn't projected, it's accumulated. Every time you choose your intuition over consensus, stand. Firm when they test your new boundaries, risk being misunderstood in pursuit of being known. You're not being selfish, you're being sane. Because at the end of your life, when the chorus of opinions fades to silence, only one voice will matter, your own. The one that's been waiting patiently all these years for you to stop performing and start living. The key was never in their hands. It was always in yours. Now turn it. The truth no one tells you about freedom? It begins with silence. Not the kind you fall into, the kind you choose. That moment when you stop scrolling, stop comparing, stop begging the world to tell you who to be. When you finally stop waiting for permission to exist. Right now, your life is being stolen in tiny increments by every "what will they think," every mindless refresh of the feed, every time you swallow your truth to make others comfortable. You keep looking for answers in places that only know how to reflect back your own insecurity. Here's what happens in the quiet. The opinions that felt like law reveal themselves as whispers. The fears that seemed monumental shrink to their actual size. The version of yourself you've been performing for others starts to feel like a bad costume. You've been drowning in a sea of noise, convinced you need to keep swimming to survive. But the lifeline was always there. In the space between thoughts, in the breath before you speak, in the courage to sit with yourself long enough to remember who you are when no one's watching. The modern world runs on distraction because it knows a terrible secret. Clarity is revolutionary. When you stop outsourcing your worth, social media loses its power to define you. Others' expectations become background noise. Your intuition, long buried under layers of should, finally gets to speak. This isn't about productivity hacks or meditation apps. It's about the raw, uncomfortable act of reclaiming your attention. Every minute you spend, comparing your behind the scenes to someone's highlight, replaying conversations that others have forgotten, waiting for some imaginary future when you'll feel ready, is a minute you're borrowing from your future self. The path forward isn't complicated, just brutally simple. Turn away from what drains you, turn toward what sustains you. Repeat until it becomes your nature. You'll know it's working when the old fears arise, and you notice something different. Not absence of doubt, but presence of something stronger. Beneath it. A quiet voice that says, "I choose me anyway." The prison door was never locked. You were just taught to fear the sound of your own footsteps walking free. You're bleeding out. Not from some visible wound, but from 1,000 tiny punctures you ignore every day. The 3 a.m. replays of awkward conversations, the compulsive checking for notifications that don't come, the mental energy spent decoding tones in text messages. Each one siphons off a little more of what could have been fuel for your actual life. Here's the uncomfortable math. Every what if about the past stolen focus from your present, every unnecessary yes, borrowed from tomorrow's resilience, every ad, scroll through curated lives, interest paid on a debt of comparison you never chose to take. Your energy isn't just currency, it's your life force, the raw material of your future. And you're hemorrhaging it on things that wouldn't even make the footnote of your obituary. The modern world runs on distraction because it knows a secret. A divided mind never revolts. When you're exhausted from managing perceptions that don't, matter anticipating reactions that never come, maintaining appearances that no one truly sees, you become too tired to build what actually could matter. Boundaries aren't walls, they're floodgates. Every time you silence notifications instead of your intuition, choose solitude over performative socializing. Let an uncomfortable no stand without apology. You're not being selfish. You're practicing the radical act of self-preservation in a world that profits from your depletion. The shift happens when you stop asking, "Is this urgent?" and start asking, "Does this nourish or deplete me? Is this someone else's priority or mine? Will this matter in a year or just in this anxious hour?" You'll know it's working when you catch yourself. Breathing through FOMO instead of feeding it. Noticing compulsive thoughts without boarding that train. Feeling the weight lift from hours no longer spent managing others' perceptions. The truth they never taught you? Exhaustion is often misplaced focus in disguise. That burnout might just be all the life you've poured into things that were never yours to carry. Stop searching for more time. Start reclaiming your attention. The life you want isn't lost. It's buried under everything you've been giving to instead of growing through. Turn the tap. So I'll leave you with this. When you look back a year from now, will you be the person who watched change happen or the one who made it happen? Drop now in the comments if you're choosing action over excuses today. Smash that like button if this hit different. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. And subscribe, because next week, we're burning down another toxic myth.